All right, how are you today, Ivan?
Yeah, very good, very good. What's the crack, Stuart?
Yeah, well, how's your week been?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I have been enjoying a lovely week, a little bit of rain here in Madrid, as probably you have experienced.
Yeah,
But yeah, so far so good. Can't complain.
a few botellones at the weekend.
I try to stay away from that. I think I saw
Well,
some news with some botellones like transforming or evolving into actual like terrorism, really.
well, that's what happened in Barcelona, didn't it? Yeah, it
Exactly.
turned into urban terrorism. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
uh,
in every single challenge. Sorry, every single TV channel,
mm,
and it was just a nightmare. You can see us experiencing these kind of things. And I remember being in London when all the situation happened with the riots, etc. And it was
yeah,
very similar to that. It was very
mm.
similar. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable. I'm very very sad for my country in this regard.
Well, it only takes just a little bit for humans to turn into animals, and you can see that behaviour sometimes where people go crazy and start destroying things or destroying everything in their path, which is what happens sometimes when people drink, unfortunately. But it is what it is, and hopefully it'll work itself out. Now, what did you want to bring to the table today, Ivan?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of topics. I think last time we ran out of time, and there was a few things that I wanted to bring back. But as always, just remember that my current opinions might not represent my future opinions.
Okay, all right, good.
So, so maybe we can start with the correos, the Spanish Royal Mail
The postal
here.
service.
The postal service. I remember that the news was that there were like thousands of people coming to like an exam, and I just wanted
Yeah,
to make sure that the audience, the people from the community, know about this because
yeah,
it's a little bit crazy that. I think, in my point of view, anyway, probably there's quite a lot of people out there that might share the same. But it's crazy that a lot of people apply for this kind of job, and actually, you have to sit an exam. But you have to realize, and you have to know that being a public servant in Spain and being a member of the Royal Mail is being a public servant
mm,
means a position for life, a salary for life,
yeah, yeah,
and in many cases doesn't really matter what you do. I think I read some comments that the post was thrown at your door or the just in the mail, not even in the mail and the right one for the flats.
Somebody complained that in Barcelona they weren't putting
Yeah,
the mail into the boxes; they were just sort of chucking it on the ground or something. And
exactly.
he said it's improved now because they actually put it on top of the mailboxes. Because when you walk into these buildings, there's like a big
Yeah,
square thing with different mailboxes,
yeah,
and
it happened to me as well. And I have to say, in London, they have the typical Victorian house with
yeah,
the mail hole, and that's it. But in here, I think the mentality is like when you become a public servant, is like you are untouchable. You cannot be
yeah,
fired.
mm,
You don't have any kind of like performance assessment.
no,
Probably people out there, they might have some family that they are public servants, but in my opinion and what I know,
yeah,
and friends that I have,
yeah,
not in the post, but in other departments from the
yeah,
administration in various
yeah,
levels,
yeah,
it's like you have to go seriously wrong
yeah,
to
to
be
be fired.
fired.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well, there's been stories over the years, and you probably read them in the paper that there was one
yeah,
guy who was going to work every day, and he was just sort of ticking, he was just clicking his paper, and
correct.
then he was leaving straight away. He did that for about 10 years,
Exactly.
and until he got caught, and then he blamed his boss for not realizing that was what he was doing. I mean,
Correct.
it's an anecdote, and there's always
It's
on the television different cases of people that on there used to be a show, I forget what it was called, but it was on La Sexta here, and they stood outside the Ministry of Health, and they were interviewing people at hola, hi, what time do you start work? Oh, well, I start work at 8 o'clock, but today I couldn't get here until 10. And there was about 5 or 6 people that were in that situation, and they do highlight that people do take the P155
mm,
in the public service a lot of the times, and that's what a lot of people complain about. But just putting what we're
exactly.
talking about into context, Ivan, there was 150,000 people, I think, going for 3,000 jobs or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that is the mentality behind that is these people, of course, there's a situation with unemployment. We are talking about South European country that
Yeah.
maybe we are not very well known for research and development, or I don't know, university, or like high class startup cradle like Silicon Valley of the South or anything like that. No, we are not well known for that. So it is being very revealing for me that the mentality of the country in a very high proportion is the dream job. It's like, being a public servant, get paid, try
Well,
to be
yeah,
doing as less as
yeah,
possible,
yeah.
and crack on with your life. So,
Well, I've thought about this, and I think one of the reasons maybe is that obviously the high unemployment is a key. People don't want to leave the country, and people don't want
yeah,
to have to go to the UK or to England or to America to get a job. They want to stay here.
yeah,
They want to stay close to their family. So what options do they have?
100%.
Uh,
100%.
that's right. But then I've thought
And
that. Sorry, I was just going to
go
say
on,
that.
sorry.
But then I thought that if you're willing to study hard for one of these public exams, and I don't know how hard the postal service exam is, but there are some people, and I've met them personally, that spend 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, studying for 2 or 3 years to be a public servant. Now, if you put that dedication towards
Oh,
starting a company,
unbelievable.
you could
Unbelievable.
be, I don't know, maybe
No, it's incredible, and the thing is that as you probably mentioned in many others, you have the needs, not neither study,
mm,
neither work, but then you have this. They are professional opositores. That's what they
that's
call the
right.
people
Well,
who study to
that's
become a
it.
public servant. Doesn't
That's
matter the
right.
range,
That's right.
doesn't
Yep.
matter the
Yep. Yep.
position.
Yep.
You are an oppositor, so you can be, I don't know,
That's right.
like a state lawyer, or policeman,
Mm.
firefighter as well.
Yeah.
Anything related to that is putting a lot of studying, and there will be a certain level of subjects that are
Yeah.
related with your future job, your
Mm.
future position, but there
Mm.
is also a big chunk of legislation, like the constitution, like
Mm.
certain laws that apply to
Yeah.
that. For example, for policemen,
Yeah.
they have to get quite a lot of the civil
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
law subjects that maybe the lawyers have and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just
Well,
to become a public
yeah.
servant. So,
They have to memorize a lot of things in order to sit that exam.
yes, and
But
that's the thing, is absolute memorizing. I think that is one of the big challenges from Spanish university, and I did my studies here,
mm,
and in comparison with the UK and Ireland, that I have more experience and very very little from Australia.
mm,
I think in those markets, the teamwork is more benefit. I guess it's more encouraged as well. This kind of approach, rather
maybe.
than here is memorize, 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 and then pretty much vomit in the
Yeah.
exam, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
a couple of years later, or maybe 1 month, if you are optimistic, absolute nothing
Yeah.
is left.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is what you have.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I got a parking ticket once. Oh, sorry, it wasn't. It was a traffic infringement. It wasn't here in Spain. It was in Portugal. In Portugal, they have a similar system, and I got stopped, and the guy wrote a ticket and 40 euros. So I went to the police station to pay it, and I said, "But can you tell me what the ticket was for?" And he took out this big, thick book about this thick, and he went through it. It took him about 5 or 6 minutes to find the exact law, and then he said, "Oh, well, here we go, 93.24, blah 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 blah. You can't do this, 40 euros." So he'd obviously remembered that there was a fine
So,
related to what I had done, but he didn't know exactly what it was. But he'd studied it obviously in that big thick book,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
that's what a lot of civil servants do. They have to study a lot of information that
Yeah.
is maybe is relevant to their post or not. Because I was thinking, to be a postie, obviously know that word postie. In Australia, we use the word postie, someone who delivers the mail.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What do you have to know exactly?
I
Now,
can find out for our next
yeah,
interview. That's for sure. But yeah,
what,
I will be happy to know
yeah,
what
well,
exactly will be
maybe
included in that exam. That's very true.
maybe you have to learn postcodes or how to read an address. Maybe
But
I've got no idea how to sort
that,
mail. Maybe I've got no
oh
idea.
my God, the postcodes don't even start. We can have the whole program about postcodes. I realize one of the things, and I read some comments, tell to Ivan to see what is the difference between Spain, Ireland, and the UK. Well, there you go. Maybe there could be a subsection. postcodes, and in
Okay.
Ireland, I know that it's changing. It used to be more or less like in Spain, but in the UK, the postcode go straight to your front door, pretty much. You could narrow it down to maybe, I don't know, 3, 4 flats if you are in a maybe taller development,
Hmm.
but it could be to your actual door if you live in a terrace street. So in the UK, I was more based in London, but you have like the east with the E, the west with the W, and the north and the south, and then any combination of those,
Mm.
and then it is a number, kind of like the district. So I used to live in Hammersmith. I think it was W14, I believe, Hammersmith and Fulham, and in Ealing. And Chiswick, W4 and W5, and then you have a combination of letters. I don't know if in Australia it's the same,
No.
but those letters, you just put it in Google Maps and it tells you exactly where to go.
Oh,
So
okay.
I remember being invited to an event and it was in somebody else's house. I was like, where do I go? Give me the street, give me the name. And it just paste this, I don't know, W15 and set 2 and totally invented. So don't try to look it for anybody around there. But you're like, what the hell is this?
It took you to the exact address, right?
Exactly. While here in Spain and in Ireland back in my times, I know it's changing now. In here it could be whole district. I am, I believe, in 28, 40 something,
Mm.
and it could be like the whole of Barajas plus Alameda Dosuna
Yeah.
plus I think the IFEMA areas. Where is that one? It is huge. You
Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
narrow it
Yeah.
down. You
Yeah.
can more or less know, or
Yeah.
in a village, maybe it has one code and that's it. It's a little
Yeah.
bit, you know, eye-opening.
In Australia, it works in a similar way. Though you have like a four-digit number. Sorry,
Hmm.
where my parents live, it's 6019 or 6018 or something like that. And then you've
Hmm.
got 6 is the beginning number for Western Australia. Then you've got 2 for New
All
South
right.
Wales, 3 for Victoria, 4 for Queensland, I think, and 5 for South Australia. I might have got those last 2 mixed up. In Tasmania, I've got no idea. But normally that's what it is. So it'll be 6019 or 6214 according to where you live, and that'll be the whole suburb. So,
Hmm.
and then of course you've got an address. So it's not as pinpoint
Yeah,
as probably what you're saying
exactly.
there as it is in London, but
Exactly.
yeah, but here it does work on the number system, and 28 is the Madrid community, right?
Correct. That's
So
fine.
that's right. And in Madrid capital, it's 280 something. And then when you get into the
That's it.
outskirts, it's 28122 or 28133. And according to where you are,
That's
right?
it. That's it. That's it. I remember in Dublin, it was like the even numbers. It was like south of the Liffey and the odd numbers in the north of the Liffey. So it
Okay.
was like St. Stephen's Green. I remember my office was, and it was like Dublin 8, I believe, or Dublin 4. Sorry, it was. But it
Okay.
was kind of like the post area, like Temple Bar. Well, it's not like post, I think, but
All right. Okay.
sorry, Dublin 2. But yeah, it was kind of like that.
All right, we have digressed. So we'll get back onto the topic where we're talking about the civil
Mhm.
service. So basically, the civil service here in Spain is a very sought after job. A lot of people want to
Yes,
work in the public service because the private
that's it.
sector, I mean, let's
It's
be
like the
honest, the private
security.
sector is not that good, is it?
I guess, well, depending on what your background is, and depending what your aspirations in life are, and
Mm.
I'm not nobody to judge somebody that maybe decide to spend more time with the kids and they just prefer an easy job, even though they might be prepared or they have studies to do something else, and they want an admin job, 9 to 2 or 9 to 3,
Yeah.
and spend more time. Everybody has their own circumstances, and I'm no one to judge that, but obviously, if that kind of people, that kind of approach to life becomes the majority opinion
Mm.
as a country, you are doing something wrong in my point of view. Because
Well, maybe
how
Ivan, yeah,
yeah how can you evolve in that regard, or how can you sponsor the research?
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's,
But
I don't know. In my opinion, it's a little bit
mm,
backwards
mm,
in that regard. But
mm,
obviously, comfy life and go out for a drink, and that's what Spain
Yeah,
is
yeah,
not
yeah,
about.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I've worked a fair bit with the public service here because I was giving English classes in various ministries around Madrid, and I
Nice.
was in the tax ministry there for a while, and I was in the economy ministry. I think I was in the science and technology ministry when it was there for a while. And what I
Good.
realized is that the people that become civil servants in Spain, it's almost like it's a class. It's a class of privileged people, as we said before, that do their job. They're untouchable. They know they're untouchable, and they wield an enormous
Absolutely.
amount of power over government. And you can see that the way the governments here often act is that by offering public service jobs gets votes.
Oh, absolutely, and that is that is unbelievable. To be honest,
Mm.
it's a situation that there is there's no escape. There is no way out of that
Yeah,
because you
yeah,
are creating. And this is very typical as well. 2 years before the next general election is like, well, 30,000 public jobs for the next coming years. And obviously, it's just right before the elections when the awarding of those positions will be.
yeah.
So you will make the whole headlines, etc., etc.
That's
And
it.
because only the very, very top, like the Secretario de Estado and some
Yeah.
directorates are like political appointees,
Mm.
the rest are like career funcionarios, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
funcionarios de
That's it.
carrera, and
That's it.
they
That's it.
use the clase A for like the top one, abogados del Estado,
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that,
That's
and
it.
then you go back. So depending on your level, but it's just a way to bribe people, obviously, to get into the
Well,
system in a way,
well, it is.
and
It is. Yeah, it is.
obviously you
Mm.
influence and I'm also very passionate about the Spanish history. I'm sure I will bring some links and some topics that might be interesting
Mm.
to the table in different occasions. But during the First Republic, they were saying that los caciques, and basically in history is like the big landlords, and
Yeah,
by
yeah.
landlord I'm actually
Landowners.
talking
Yeah. Mhm.
exactly about the actual field owners, the land owners. They were deciding, and in the First Republic, there were a there was a time that was in the first year of the First Republic. It wasn't very successful. We have like 4 presidents.
Mm.
So in those elections, the cacique, that like the main landowner,
Mm.
tell their staff who to vote.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
And in those votes in the First Republic, that's where the word pucherazo came from, because the
Mm.
votes were put in a pot. Puchero is usually like a cooking pot, a
Yeah.
big pot where I don't know, the cocido, things like that are
Yeah.
cooked,
Yeah. Well, they cook
and they
stews.
exactly,
Mm.
and they just cook whoever is going to be in
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So obviously, history plays a big part in the way that countries form, of course. But
yeah,
I mean, governments are always talking about, Ivan, that they're going to modernize the public service, they're going to modernize the economy. But I've heard those things before, and very
yeah,
rarely does it happen. But then again, I mean, if you live here, it's the way the country works, and you can get frustrated, of course. But
yeah.
but obviously, people vote for this, right?
Exactly. No, no. And the thing is that the government is a reflection of the people. If the
Of
people
course.
keep voting that, there is no other way around it. Is
No,
you vote to one of yours, and this is
that's
what
it.
you wanted, and this is
That's
the
it.
kind of government that we want because we, the people, elected them. No,
That's it. That's it.
that's what I want to believe anyway.
That's it. That's it. And
And
what
the
I was going to say, one of the things that pops up, and we've
Mhm.
seen it recently, is bureaucracy here in Spain. People complain about it endlessly, and
Yeah,
how bad it is and all that. I mean, my experience with bureaucracy, I've had good experience and bad experience, but you have to be prepared. You have to be patient. You have to be prepared, and you have to be, as I said, prepared to go back maybe once or twice in order to get something done, whether it means queuing. But then again, you've got the system here where you can pay people to do those bureaucratic things for you. They take care of these things, even basic traffic things. I know you
yeah,
wanted to talk about driver's license, Ivan. That was one of the things.
yeah.
We might not get around to it today, but we'll talk about it next time. But
No,
you can pay people to do basic bureaucratic
yeah.
trámites, as they call them here,
Yeah. And
processes.
I remember in your conversations with Nick, you have talked about the gestoria many times, and that
Yeah,
this is how the system works. It's just created a marketplace for people who
yeah,
actually, I wouldn't say they know the loopholes, but basically you pay them to go through the queues, the endless paperwork, red tape,
yeah,
you name it, and you
yeah,
need this paper, this other paper, or whatever. They prepare anything in advance. What can they tell? Maybe because they are there every so often, they have built a relationship with
yeah.
whoever is at the other side. So, you know, in this kind of
That's it.
situation where they will
Relationship is the key. That's it.
correct, and that is another word for your audience, enchufe. Maybe it will not
That's
apply
right.
to
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
situation now, but we can talk
That's
about
right.
that in
That's
another
right.
one. But
Well, I
yeah,
remember.
there
Yeah,
is a market for that,
of
and
course, yeah, it becomes a lobby. So the Colegio de Gestores becomes a lobby
oh,
group that lobbies the government. That's right. So and there's a
correct,
Colegio de Abogados, Colegio de Gestores, all of these bodies that act as lobby groups in order to make these things happen. I
exactly.
my first experience when I first came here, I applied for residency, and I think the first time I ever applied, it was turned down. So I put the case into the hands of a gestor or a lawyer, and then within a few months it was approved. So I didn't know what happened there, So
Probably you
um,
did the same thing, the same form, everything as they told you. To be honest, it is the reality, and sometimes, unless, and even for me, it's difficult. And we will talk in a first share in the
yeah,
next occasion. But it is not about, oh, you are a foreigner, or because I'm
no,
foreigner they are turning me down or anything like that. These people don't, on the other side, they are funcionarios. So again,
yeah,
they are public servants. They're going to be there. They don't really care if they resolve your issue or
no,
not,
there's
or
no
you are
no,
there tomorrow or not. It's
there's no
one
interest.
one
No,
topic linked very beautifully with this what we are talking now. So you come here to this country and you are expect things to be done, um, maybe you need to get a little bit of patience. I have been
yeah,
working also in Middle East for different circumstances, and maybe it doesn't get to that extreme if people have some experience in that regard, like or the Caribbean as well. They're like
yeah,
a totally different approach, but definitely is not in the UK. Definitely is not like in Ireland or the European or the
mm, mm,
US
mm,
or Canada.
mm, no,
And I have had friends as well that, for example, I remember one friend that worked for the FAS in Ireland, that's like the INEM, and just straight like a graduate. You applied for a job like that's it, and you get it. It's a public body, that's
yeah,
it. But your work is for that, and you have your salary reviews, you have your objectives, you
mm,
have something to do, and that's it.
yeah,
I remember one thing that really caught my eye when I was in the UK. You can find MI6 positions open vacancies for anybody to apply. Obviously, you have to be British or nationalized British in the last, I don't know, 10 whatever
uh,
years.
I hope
But
so.
this can you will be surprised. You cannot even disclose with your family that you are applying for this kind of position. But that never happened in Spain. I've never seen anything like that here
Mm,
because everything moves in certain circles,
yeah,
for the
yeah,
good or for the bad. And
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
which one is right, which one is wrong. But
yeah, 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 yeah,
it surprised me because the opinion that I had been for my life in Spain until I
yeah,
left
yeah,
is like, oh, this class, as you
yeah,
mentioned. And again, coming back also for that typification as elite or class
yeah.
in the
Well,
good
it's an
times.
elite class, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. In the good times, and I'm talking like pre-real estate bubble, so
yeah,
2004, 2005. Like, oh, the country was going well. There's a lot of people that were earning a lot of money without too much, I don't know, studies or
yeah, yeah,
CV. Let's say, let's
yeah,
put it
yeah.
that way, to simplify.
Without a good CV,
Correct. And oh, we are public servants. Look, we are making exactly the same money, etc.,
yeah,
etc. But
we're
then
poor.
exactly, then shit happens, and there was quite a lot of unemployment, and and what happened is like everybody look at the public servants, so they
Yeah,
keep the job. So
yeah,
we are looking for now this situation that we are involved now with a high unemployment and not
yeah,
a very good running market, let's
yeah,
say.
yeah,
But also remember that in the good times, these people were not like the best paid in the world or things like that. So
mm, mm,
it has the goods and the bads, I guess.
Well, I think history will probably tell us that if you take a sample of those years, the good years versus the bad years. There's a lot more bad years than good years, probably in the last 40, right? So it's probably more beneficial because the booms have been short, but the crashes have been long. Ivan,
Yeah, especially in the last 20 years, and we can talk about that long and steady. I remember when I arrived to Dublin, it was when the Anglo-Irish basically go bankrupt.
Yeah, the bank.
The NAMA, the bank NAMA was created. The Sareb in Spain is called NAMA in Ireland. I don't know if it still exists or not, but it was created. It was a very bad situation. But one of the things that I learned from that, and that was like the Irish approach, they drastically reduced the price of the assets in order to get a seller. I'm gonna lose money. Let's settle down my debts. Let's crack on with life and tackle everything. While in Spain, the approach that I saw in those years is like, I don't want to lose money. Okay, I will reduce a little bit, and obviously you go in a steady declining angle rather than maybe like a deep sharp and then crack on. That's why we steady into the 2020 almost.
Well, this is
we have not recovered in Spain.
This is a conversation again for another day. But I mean, we could talk all day about this, Ivan. But
absolutely,
the reason was that the government. I mean, I'm not saying anything that people don't know. The reason that the government tried to hold on to bad banks, basically, right? The banks were bankrupt. They didn't want to admit it, and they put a lot of public money into these banks with dodgy techniques. And now we saw that Bankia disappeared. Bankia should have disappeared 10 years ago, realistically speaking. If the market came into play, it should have disappeared 10 years ago, but it didn't. It went public. It was a scandal. Nothing happened. The politician went to jail for a few years, and then everything's okay again. So the banks hold so much power that the Sareb basically was an option that came quite late as well. I think I don't think it came immediately.
No, not at all. And it took quite a while to put like the legislation in place to put or to move all those assets from private entities to the Sareb.
That's
but
right.
I remember it was maybe 2009, 2010, and NAMA was created in Ireland. And you can maybe realize like the approach of life from different countries. And this is, you really want to face the reality. Okay, let's go down. This is not gonna end well. Let's assume the losses that we have and let's crack on. While in here, it was a totally different approach. And whether it was good or the bad one, we will never know. But we are here in another.
Well, it just takes a long time to get out of a crisis, which is what we saw. It took, whereas Ireland probably recovered a lot quicker from that 2008 financial crisis. It took Spain 5, 6. I always say that the 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 crisis, because it went on for so long. It was amazing.
It was indeed.
But anyway, all right.
We can talk about that in another occasion, that's for sure.
We can. I'm going to have to cut it short, Ivan, because I've got to do something else. But great speaking to you again, and we'll be in contact. We'll pick up from where we left off. We'll as we said, this is going to be something semi-regular here. So next week again, most likely, and we'll pick up from where we left off. I know there's a lot of topics you sent me that you want to talk about, so we'll go through those next week and in the coming weeks. But great speaking to you again, and we'll be in contact. Okay.
Same, Stuart. Stay safe, and always happy to help the challenge and to resolve any doubts that arise. So,
all right, good one, Ivan. Talk to you then.
Stay
See you later.
Ta-da.
Bye-bye.
Bye.